From FAMU Law classrooms to the executive suite, Scot David Leitner of Climate First Bank has built a career at the crossroads of law and business. On this segment of Legal Connections, he shares how his journey shaped his role as Senior Vice President and General Counsel, and what lessons current law students can take from his path. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about your role at the bank.
Yeah, so it started back in 2015 when I met our founder and chairman, Ken LaRoe. He's a Florida licensed attorney. We hit it off, and he said, I have this idea to start a department within the bank that caters bank services and products to law firms and lawyers across the state of Florida. We started the attorney business banking department. This was at his second bank, which was called First Green Bank. And we had a tremendous success. The bank was eventually acquired by a bigger bank in 2018, and after we waited out the non-compete, we decided to launch Climate First Bank, which is the current bank, and we reinstituted the attorney business banking department. So I run the department. We cater services, everything from deposit accounts to lending, real estate loans, lines of credit, that law firms need to be successful.
That's a wonderful idea, and because I'm sure I'm not the only one that has stepped into a bank and had to speak to different people about the IOTA account, and everyone's not familiar. So
yeah, it's one of the most nerve-wracking things as a lawyer and business owner is to really have control of that IOTA account. And for those that don't know, it's an account where you hold your client's funds in trust, and the bar is very, very strict on the regulation of those funds. And so attorneys have to make sure that every penny is accounted for. And a lot of banks just don't understand the importance of really making sure those accounts are handled properly, that the money is all accounted for and moved correctly, that fees aren't taken out of those accounts. And so having a bank where that they understand the rules and they're going to be in compliance with the Florida bar is very important.
Yeah, I can see that being a huge attraction. So this intersection of business leadership and law, did you foresee that at all in your law school journey?
I really didn't. I kind of went into law school with a construction background. I had, prior to going to law school, I had worked for a precast concrete company. And what spurred my going back to school was the recession in 2008. Really, construction kind of came to a halt, and it was I had the opportunity to kind of do something different, and decided to go back to school. And I went into it knowing that my background and understanding was mostly in construction, and I did intern at a firm that did a lot of construction defect litigation. And honestly, I just didn't really love it. So I kind of came in with an open mind, tried a few different areas of law. I interned at the state attorney's office. I worked for a firm that did healthcare law and regulation. So I really did have a wide variety of practice areas that I got to experience. And coming out in 2011, when I graduated and passed the bar, the market wasn't great. A lot of firms weren't hiring. And I was lucky enough to get a job at a firm that was primarily doing a lot of foreclosure and bankruptcy work. So that's really where I cut my teeth.
Now that is quite the segue. I've heard it myself, going from media to law, or video editing to law, but from construction to health law to the state attorney's office. That's pretty incredible, but good for you giving yourself a chance.
Yeah, and I think, and when I talk to current students or people that are thinking about going to law school, that's one thing I always say is keep an open mind. You just don't know what practice area is going to speak to you, and what you will be passionate about. Because really that's the key, is finding something that you can enjoy doing, that you're helping other people in the community, and then obviously can earn a living.
Absolutely. And to law students or people, because right now the economy or the job opportunities, I'll say, aren't plentiful for some industries. And what would you say? I guess part of it would be be open-minded to a law student, because not knowing where you're going, you have to pay the bills. What was your thought process?
Well, it was a little bit of a difficult journey. Obviously, already have worked in and owned a house and had a lot of bills. Going back to school was a big step. Taking on debt when I didn't have any. So what I tell students is make sure you have your financial house in order. You don't want to take out a ton of student loan debt and ring up credit cards to get a law degree, because it's going to take a long time to obviously get out of school and start your career. We're not doctors where you have the benefit of getting a residency and on-the-job training. When you're graduating and you pass the bar, you're just thrown out into the marketplace, and it's rough for a couple of years. You're going to have to really work hard, and the pay may not be what you think it's going to be right out of the gate. But if you put in the effort and really land at a good firm, have some solid mentors to help guide you. I tell students to get involved with the local bar associations. I think that's a great way to network and to find a good mentor to help.
Definitely. Are there any community initiatives or things outside of your work that you're a part of?
So something that I'm pretty passionate about is legal aid. I've been on the board of the Orange County Bar Legal Aid Society for 2 years now. It's a great organization run by our executive director, Bethany Barber. And we do a ton of good. Legal aid has grown substantially in the last couple of years. They're funded from all of the interest on those IOTA accounts we previously discussed. And so with interest rates being higher, that's more funding for legal aid. They've been able to grow by hiring more attorneys and more staff, which just means more legal services provided to those in our community who need it. And that's something that is a huge need in all of Florida. There's a huge population that just can't afford legal services. And so any of the legal aid organizations that can provide the help that those in our society need is great.
Absolutely. You've been so good to talk to, and such an interesting journey that you've had, very different, and we thank you for spending time sharing it with us.
Thanks for having me.
We want to thank Scott for sharing his insights and for showing how FAMU alumni continue to make an impact across industries.